Hi friends, this is Peter Bain, co-founder of ForexTrader.com. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We don't take your time for granted. This is an exciting presentation. Can a simple strategy produce consistent profits? Before we get going, please pay attention to this disclaimer. The salient points are noted in red. And if you have any questions, please hang on to them until the end of this presentation. There's no such thing as a stupid question. We'll get to them when this presentation is over. This webinar is being recorded, so don't worry about that. And don't click away too soon because we have a special offer for you coming up at the end of this presentation. You don't want to miss that for sure. Now, on tap today, of course, myself in the middle, co-founder of ForexTrader.com. On the right, George Pitcher. He's been with ForexTrader since 2008, long-standing ForexTrader member. He's a trader, good trader. He's a programmer. He programmed the calculator into MetaTrader 4 that we're going to be talking about today. He programmed the alerts that we're going to be talking about today. He's a mentor at ForexTrader. And he hangs out in the lounge and helps members, and you're going to have a chance to meet up with him in the lounge. Over to the left, Lennox Chambers is the main event today. He's a trader. He's the creator of the Simple 123 system and the programmer of the program that we're going to introduce to you today. Now, by way of history, let me just take you back in time and explain how this all came about. I met Lennox last year at a seminar. I ended up sitting at the same table with him. I found out that he was trading options. I mentioned that I was trading the Forex, and I mentioned the profit potential. He seemed intrigued. So he invited me over to his place. So I went over and showed him the ropes. I figured, well, I've done my job. I don't know where it's going to go from here. Lo and behold, shortly thereafter, he announced to me that he had opened up a live account and was trading 10 standard lots at a time with $5,000 in his trading account. I thought, well, that's pretty cool. I said, well, where did you get the number 10 from? I didn't say to trade with 10 standard lots. And he said, well, you didn't tell me what to do, so I figured 10 was a good round number, so I started with 10. Pretty exciting stuff. Then he announced to me 1 month later that he had ramped up his $5,000 account to $30,000, trading 10 standard lots at a time. That really caught my attention because I'd never heard of that before. I immediately contacted my business partner, Vic Young, and told him about this exciting news. Vic immediately came over to visit with Lennox and myself in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And we decided that we wanted to introduce this system to our members, and that's why you're here today. Now, here are some of Lennox's results starting, we've got here on the right from August 30th of last year to March 20th of this year. You can see lots of green ink, very little red ink. These are actual results. Now, bear in mind that Lennox trades 10 standard lots at a time. You don't have to trade that many lots. You can trade micros, minis, standard, whatever you want to do. Certainly if you want to trade 10, you can. But these are real impressive results, to say the least. Now, one of the things that Vic and I did when we got going with Lennox, we threw out a challenge to him. And we said, look, we're going to give you some money. We'll give you $5,000 each. You throw in $5,000, and let's see if you can double the money. So he put that money into his trading account at Dukas Copy, which is where I trade too, and it got rounded up to $15,136. Not sure how it didn't end up at being 15, but anyway, you get the point. And so away he went, and the deal was, let's see if you can double that money. Well, lo and behold, that was back in 14th of November last year. And as at the 12th of January of this year, he had gone from 15,000 roughly to roughly $28,000, at which time he gave Vic and I our $5,000 back. He took his $5,000 back, and that left with him with a balance of 13,000 and change in his trading account at Dukas Copy. And then we threw out a further challenge to him. We said, Lennox, we would really like to start a hedge fund, you, Vic, George, and myself. And so our challenge to you is to ramp this balance of 13,000 and change as high as you can so that we can start the hedge fund. So off he went. And before we knew it, Lennox had traded that amount, that 13,000 and change, up to 18,000. Actually, it's higher than that now, higher than $18,000. So we're well on our way to having the money that we would like to use to start a hedge fund. So really incredible results. So we're here to introduce you to Lennox, and George will also participate. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Lennox. And he is going to give you a presentation. Following that, George Pitcher will jump in, and then I'll wrap it up towards the end. So take it away, Lennox.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Lennox here. As they would say in Jamaican. Wagwan, everybody. Lennox here. All right. Why most Forex traders overly complicate their trading strategy? And Peter, if you would give me mouse control, that would
I already did.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Okay, so why do most Forex traders overly complicate their trading strategy? That's a question, and that's also a statement. Forex traders usually, most traders usually overcomplicate their trading strategy. So reasons, I don't know what the reasons are why most Forex traders overly complicate their trading strategy, but I notice it a lot. I look at YouTube videos and so forth, and I see a lot of charts, and most of the time I can't see the chart. I'm just seeing stuff, and I think you really need to see the chart. And when I'm trading, I like to see the chart as big as possible. Yeah, of course you want to see it small when you want to see an overall picture and so forth, but it's always nice to see it big and to keep it free of just have a few indicators on as possible. With our system, we have 2 indicators. 2 of them are moving averages, and one is a MACD indicator, and that's basically it. So it keeps the chart fairly uncluttered, reasonably uncluttered, and gives you a chance to really see what's going on with the price and the patterns, and that's what we're all about with a simple 1, 2, 3. Okay, so and I'm trying to get this thing to move forward, Peter, but it's not moving forward for me.
Well, how about I do it for you?
Okay. Okay, so there are 3 ways to simplify your trading. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Again, it won't go for me. Number 1 is to, again, unclutter your charts, to use fewer indicators, and most importantly, to not overthink your trades. That one in particular is, I guess, probably part and parcel with the uncluttering of your charts. You have so many things going on in your chart that you overthink it, you overanalyze it, and things move, and you miss opportunities and so forth. So with our 1, 2, 3 system, it's basically you're looking for a specific pattern. And once you see that pattern, you can then be confident enough to jump in and take that trade. So that's what we really want to show you. Number 2, you want to limit the pairs and the time frames. We trade all 28 pairs. However, we have an alert system that helps us to find good setups. And we we have a members area where we all chat about different trades that we're in and so forth. So we want to specialize in fewer time frames, and that's what we do. We kind of work with the hourly 4-hour time frames mainly. And the specific pairs, again, you stick to the majors and, of course, any other pairs that might have the setup on it. But by limiting how many you have and limiting your time frames, it gives you more of an opportunity to hone in on specific setups that are going to be profitable. You want to look for those profitable trade setups, and that's the key to the system. And number 3, you always want to know where to take profits. And again, this is what the 1, 2, 3 system allows you to do. It's by the wave calculator that we use. It sets up for you exactly where profit targets are, and very accurate. So it takes the guesswork out of everything. Once you have established, identified a proper 1, 2, 3 setup, it's a matter of entering in and then letting your profits run to one of those targets. So by setting stops that are safe, that allows you to have a good trade setup so that it can run and without having to worry about being stopped out. So that's again part of the system, and we'll show you how that all works. Okay, S123, simple 1, 2, 3. Of course, when we say simple, we mean that it's simple. It's not easy. We're definitely going to put that disclaimer in. It is not an easy system. It's a simple system. It's a simple concept, but in practice, it's not easy because we find that a lot of members find it challenging at first to pinpoint the 1, 2, 3s. But once you do find those 1, 2, 3s and start to see them, it really opens it up for you, and it becomes a beautiful thing. So by keeping your chart simple and clean, and then keeping those indicators to a minimum, it makes for quick and easy decision making and for nice profits. So we've set up automated alerts. So every hour on the hour, if there is a good trade setup, you get an alert. That helps you right away to take a look at the alerts and decide whether or not this one is for you or not. They're emailed to you in real time, and that really helps you hone in on specific pairs instead of having to scan through all 28 pairs all the time. Now, again, the key thing to this whole system is the wave calculator. This was a program that I developed a long time ago, before there were indicators on the charts and so forth. And what this does is basically it calculates for you where the price will go to, and it's very, very accurate. And it allows you to visualize where you want to place your stops, and to it also gives you a visualization of your risk to reward. So right away you can take a look at a setup and decide, okay, based on the risk reward, if it's 2 to 1, or you can be safe and certain that you can take that trade and make some nice profits. And the key thing is we want to have a minimum of 2 to 1 risk reward at all times. So what is a simple 1, 2, 3? Well, in a nutshell, it's a 3-step approach to locating trades, to enter into trades, and to exiting the trades, and using that special tool, the wave calculator, to aid you. This is what makes it elegant. It's just basically a system that once you understand it, once you can see the 1, 2, 3 setups, it becomes very, very elegant and smooth and easy to spot what we're trying to teach, and that really helps you and to build your confidence in taking the trades and making your profits run as you enter those trades. So here are a couple recent trade examples, and this is from this week actually. This trade was in the Euro-Japanese yen, and this is on the 15-minute chart. Now, I did this on the 15-minute chart. I don't usually trade at this level, but sometimes I do go down there just to see what's going on, and if I see something that's setting up, I will take the trade because it's there. And this is the beauty of the system. You can trade on any time frame. However, like I said before, we like to stick to the 1 hour and 4 hour and higher time frames. But again, this was on the 15-minute chart, and basically I enter. I see this setup. I see a 1, 2, 3 setup on the chart, and I enter my number 1 point using the wave calculator. I enter my number 2 point using the wave calculator here, and then I enter my number 3 point using the wave calculator here. So basically, I'm just looking for a V for a top, and my entry is after the cross of the EMAs. I enter at this point, and I just let it run. And these are the targets that the wave calculator sets up for us. And I let it run, and it even went past all 3 targets, and I got out just below at that point. So I could get out any of these targets and make profits. And in this case, I let it run all the way down and got out at this point. So this was with 5 lots, and for about, I think that's $1,500 or so. Yeah, $1,500 profit on that one. So you can jump in with as many lots as you feel comfortable with. In this case, I just did 5. I'm on the 15-minute chart, so I just did a quick trade, and in a matter of an hour or so, a little over an hour, I guess. And that's the kind of profit you can make. Okay, the next chart. On this one, this is the USD Swiss, and this is again the 15-minute time frame. And I see a 1, 2, 3 setup. And in this case, we're looking for an inverted V. So it's just a low point, a high point, a low point. Enter the 1, 2, 3. And the wave calculator gives me targets, first set of targets, and higher targets. And I entered just below the golden cross at this point and let it run, and got out at the second highest target. Just a little above, and with 5 lots again for again about a 1,600. I can't even read that really. 1,600 or so profit.
1,600, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, again, it's just a matter in a few hours, and just let it run to target, and that's as simple as it is. So again, it's a simple concept. In practice, it's not easy, because when you're putting your real money down on the line, it's a different thing. But once you understand the concept and really see how the system works, you'll realize that, yes, I can jump in at any time in this area. And once I get my confirmation of my cross and the cross on my indicator here, my MACD PPO indicator, then we can take that trade and go to target. And there are other refinements, of course, a lot of little things that we can throw in to help you and so on. But this is basically the idea for that particular trade. Okay, and the next one. So these are just some quick examples. So this one is on the 1 hour chart, and this is again the USD Swiss. And what I'm basically trying to show you is that I can use the same chart. I can go from the 15-minute, I can jump up to the 1 hour chart and find another pattern. And again, I'm looking for a 1, 2, 3 bottom. In this case, it was staring me in the face here. I have my confirmation from my MACD. I have my confirmation from my crosses, and I enter my trade just about at the cross. and let it run to middle target and above, and take my profit. And in this case, it was 2 lots and about $750 or so in profits. So again, a quick trade. If I had thrown in 10 lots, then of course that would have been quite a larger profit. Sometimes I'm in 2 or 3 trades, so it's, you know, again, looking at whatever I'm looking at that point is I make a decision, and I really want to show everyone that you don't have to jump in with 10 lots. I'm trying to limit risk and just taking quick profits as I see them. Okay, and the next chart. And again, this is the exact same chart on the USD Swiss again on the 1 hour. And this time I enter with 3 lots, and the first one I entered just below the cross, and this one I entered above the cross. And so I get out of about the same point. And so it's just a matter of, I see the setup, I'm confident getting in here. Once I see the cross and everything is confirmed, I jump in with a few more lots and just let it run again. And that's basically that kind of scenario. So on the same chart, you can make, again, as much profit as you want. And if you can get into that position in this area, which is the key between the number 2 and number 3 points, then you can let this run and make as much profit as you are willing to, as much as you want, basically, because we have targets. You can go to the first target, the second target, the third. You can let it run also and let it keep going. And there are ways, again, that we show you how you can do that. Okay. And we'll let George take over for now. So thank you. And George?
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this webinar. We hope you pick up some good information. Next slide, please. Okay. In the membership, we include an entire video course to learn how to use the 1-2-3 system. We have in our resource area many recap videos. A lot of the members have told me that this is a especially important area because it gives them an opportunity to see what Lennox is doing when he makes his trades and allows them to formulate a picture in their mind of what a good trade looks like. Now, at the heart of the system is, of course, the wave calculator, which Lennox has talked about. He has a standalone version, which can be used with any system that you can think of. And we have also an MT4 wave calculator that you can use on MT4 charts. Now, a new thing that he has introduced is a weekly playbook. And on Sunday, you can go through the playbook, which breaks down by major pairs. It goes over all the Aussie pairs, the USD pairs, the Euro, the Sterling, the CADs, and the Swissy, and the Yen pairs, and tells what he's seeing for the coming week. So this is a good place where you get a good start for the week and can help reduce the number of pairs that you have to look at. Now, we have training webinars usually every Wednesday week, and these will show you how to optimize your trades. We sometimes introduce new concepts to help you see the trades better, etc. Now, we have trades alerts that have come out, and they've undergone many different iterations. And at this point, you can specify trade alerts by the session that you want to see them for, so to help reduce the number of alerts that you get. You can specify the Asia session, the London session, the New York session, and there is some overlap of the sessions so that we can take care of daylight saving time and standard time frames, and some of the sessions do overlap naturally, of course. We have also introduced a new Skype lounge where members can get together, they can chat about their trades and talk with Lennox, Peter, and myself when we are in the room, but it's open 24 hours, and it's a good place to get keep up on your learning and see what others are doing. And the people in the trade lounge really help each other. So it's a great place. And of course, we have email support where you can get any question answered that on the system that needs explaining. And in addition, we can actually have one-to-one training that is available too. Now, I mentioned the playbook. On the left-hand chart, I show that for each weekend we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 playbooks, that videos that you can go through to get an analysis of the major currencies. And this is a good starting point for the week. And as I also mentioned, the trading lounge has been quite successful. I think everybody really likes it because you get good feedback and good interplay and sharing of ideas, etc. Next slide, please. Okay, now we're going to be introducing something new, and hopefully it'll be ready to go for the next month. And this is called the Currency Strength Indicator. What we've done here is we have two aspects to it. The chart at the bottom shows the indicator. Each of those lines represents a different currency. And we're looking at the relative strength of one currency to the other. The table on the upper right of the indicator summarizes what goes on in the currency over 25, 50, and 75% of the graph that's to the left. Now, this data is sorted down as the current period, the numbers immediately to the right of the currency symbol. As they change, these are sorted down every minute, and you can see them flip around. Now, what I'm showing here, there's a vertical line, and you can see where have the intersection. The currency here is the Aussie CAD. With the CAD is the orange one, and the purple one is the Aussie. And you see where they cross right at that green bullet in the middle. And if you move up to the top, you'll see that it's just off of the swing high point. And because they have good angle and separation, and one currency is going weak, the Aussie is going weak, and the CAD is getting strong, you have a fall of the pair. So next slide, please. All right, what I did today was I took a 15-minute picture just after the FOMC meeting took place. But you can see on here that blue horizontal line shows where you have support that occurred. And then if you go down to the indicator itself, you see that the light blue line is the euro and the green is the dollar. Now the euro is definitely the stronger one, and it never went below the 0 line. So it indicated it was going to be the stronger of the two currencies. In addition, you see that the dollar didn't even reach the zero line, so it was showing considerable weakness. So if you were very aggressive and got in a couple of candles before this took off, you could take advantage of that big jump up. But it's something only for aggressive players, but you know, it shows you how you can use the currency strength meter to take advantage of situations. Next slide, please. Okay, now a number of our members have really done some exciting results. Now Cameron, he started off with initially with $200 and started trading with the 1-2-3 system. And in just 2 months and 14 days time, he turned that into a $10,000 balance. Now, the numbers at the left show you taking the 200 to a 5K, but this is an interim picture where he shows, I think, only 2,500 down the bottom, but I've seen this final screenshot of the it was a little over $10,000 that he made in the 2 months' time. So it shows you if you stick to the system, it works, and he can attest to that. Next slide, please. Now, Tom has tried many different systems and over the years, and he was so happy to get a hold of the 1-2-3 system. And he took a 10K demo account and used a single pair, the Sterling Swissy pair, with several lots. And he found the 1-2-3, got in, and he ran the target to his R2, which is similar to the middle target of the wave 3. And this is often the case. I mean, the wave calculator quite often just hits your most salient support resistant points on a chart. But he was successfully trading this and loves it. Next slide, please. Now, this has really been a very, very good system. And you can, of course, trade around the clock with Forex. And with the alert system, you can get trades on the time frames that you're interested, the sessions that you're interested in. And now we've even made it possible for you to just have alerts on the major pairs, on the minor pairs, exotics, or all of them, whatever you want to do. And as Lennox has explained, we show you how to get into the trade. With the calculator, it shows you your targets, and you can take aggressive targets or conservative targets. It's totally up to the trader. But you know what your profits are, you know what your reward risk is going to be right at the beginning. And in addition, we have all the hand-holding playbooks, videos, and webinars. And people have told me in the lounge that going over the videos has really helped their trading. And I've seen people in you know, a month's time, they know the system down pat, and they're making money hand over fist. And everybody's helping each other in the lounge, et cetera. So it's been a marvelous place to learn your trading and get the finer points of it. Now we have the wave calculator, as I said, for both MT4 and for any market that you can think of. It's available for. And in addition, you have access to the three of us, Peter, Lennox, and myself. And now other members in the lounge have really achieved the point where they are serving as mentors also. So it's a great place. Next slide.
Okay, George, thank you for an excellent presentation, and thanks to you, Lennox. I really appreciate your excellent presentations. Now, here's your rare opportunity to learn from someone who has achieved consistent profits in Forex using a simple system. Of course, that's Lennox. I use the S123 system and the wave calculator, not only for the Forex, but for stocks as well. I trade stocks and the Forex, and I must say that the system and the calculator have improved my trading results immensely. Of course, you can use the wave calculator for anything that moves, futures, options, commodities, and so on. So the question is, how can you take advantage of what we're offering today? I pleaded with my business partner, Vic Young, to sharpen his pencil and come up with an offer that would be appealing to you, that wasn't too expensive. And I think Vic has done an excellent job. He has come up with what I think is going to be a very appealing offer to you. Normally, what we charge is $199 for the first month and $99 per month thereafter. But for a limited time, we're going to make this offer at $99 for the first month, $99 thereafter, and this offer is for the next 48 hours. Of course, you have the option of a 6-month prepay at $497 for 6 months. That's 28% off. I think this is a pretty outstanding offer. So please make note of the link below on your screen. Type it into your browser and sign up. Now, I would encourage you to move quickly because we have an ancillary offer coming up on the next slide. I'll just leave this on here quick enough for you to, long enough for you to type in that link. And for the first 7 people signing up, we're going to have a private Skype session where you can actually sit into a Skype session with Lennox and the S123 team. During market hours, you can actually peek into Lennox's mind to see how he thinks when he's looking at charts. So there you go. There's the offer on the screen. The link is at the bottom of the screen. Please make note of it. Type it into your browser and check it out. The first 7 people are going to be able to participate in this exciting Skype session. I think that's worth its weight in gold. Of Lennox's incredible results. These are the results that I talked about before. Starting, these are just some of his results. You can see all the green ink, very little red ink. Starting August 30th of last year, over here on the right, all the way up to March the 20th of this year, you can see all of his results. Lots of green, very little red. Also a reminder that Lennox trades 10 standard lots at a time. You don't have to. You can if you wish. I think we have one member who does. You can obviously trade micros, minis, standard lots to whatever degree you wish. Pardon me, you may wish to start off at the lower levels of micros and minis and then work your way up. So if you're looking for a complicated trading system, that's not what we have for you today. We're talking about a very simple way of trading. It will completely revolutionize your trading. It's called the S123 system. That's accompanied by the wave calculator, which I think is phenomenal. There is the link again on your screen. Please make note of it. Type it into your browser. And I wish to remind you that you only need to make a couple profitable trades a month to pay for this service. So, without further ado, Lennox, are you ready to jump in here?
Okay, I'll take over.
Okay.
There are a couple of questions while Lennox is setting up. What time is the weekly seminar? It's usually on Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern time. There was a question of what time period does Cameron trade in? He's in Australia, Judy, and so that would be appropriate for your time. And yes, you are one of the 7.
It says here, it looks like the 1, 2, 3 targets is a combination of Elliott fib and fib extension. Is that right? I guess the answer to that would be yes.
Yes.
And then Desmond, 15-minute USD CHF trade. Lennox, looks like you entered the trade before the cross. Why? Could you go through a trade briefly one more? Maybe you could cover the cross when you do your presentation here. Judy, I guess, is in. Giles, what time is the weekly seminar? That's every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Judy, thank you very much. You use support and resistance in making trade calls. I think the answer to that is no. There's nothing wrong with using support and resistance, but you have to. Lennox keeps reminding us that we have to keep this simple. In other words, don't clutter your mind with all kinds of different ideas. You really just need to look for the 1, 2, 3s, use the 5 and 21 EMA and MACD, and that's about all you have to pay attention to. If you want to use support and resistance, there's nothing wrong with that because a lot of you know a lot about that. Is the 8 in the morning Eastern Time? Yeah, 8 in the morning is, we use Eastern Times. Are the alerts based on 1 hour time frame, or can it be adjusted to 15 minutes? George, I'll let you answer that one.
The alerts are 1 hour and 4 hour. If you had 15-minute alerts, your mailbox would be filling up too quickly.
Yeah,
you cannot trade a 1 hour alert on the 15-minute chart. It would be the other way around, basically.
Question here from Christian. Sorry, I haven't been mentioning the names, Marilyn and Georgette, but Christian says, can this pattern be traded on the daily time frame for those who work for? The answer is yes. You can use this any time frame, anything that moves, any asset class, you can use this system. What is the moving average setting? We use 5 and 21 EMAs. 5 and 21 EMAs. Of course, we look for the golden cross going up or the death cross coming down, depending upon which way you're trading. What is the average stop loss pip-wise? I don't mean to speak out of turn here, but generically, historically, I've always quoted 30 pips as the stop loss that I use. And what I do is I put my trade on, and then I play with my stop loss. In other words, I'll move my stop loss up under a swing point, or perhaps under a bullish or a wide bullish or bearish candle. But to start with, if you want to know where to put your stop, you can start with 30 pips and then adjust it once the order has been implemented.
Well, it all depends on the chart setup. I mean,
yeah, that's right.
You really want to put your stop, below number 3 point, if at all possible. But depending on what time frame you're on and how far away it is from the golden cross or the death cross, so that's it's going to depend.
Okay, David.
Here for me on the wave calculator. If you messed up, how do you reset it? Just press the letter C and it clears the wave calculator from the chart.
Okay, David Block, thank you for all these questions. What leverage does Lennox use? 200 to 1 at Dukascopy is the highest you can go on that platform. I think their only options are 100 to 1 or 200 to 1.
Right, I use 400 to 1 on on this trader on here, AXI trader.
Yeah, and Mike Fetters, thank you for your question. The recording will be available. I don't think we missed any questions in here. I'll just take a peek. I don't think George and I have missed any questions. You can still get your questions if you want, because we're going to now switch it over to Lennox for his presentation.
Okay, I was just going to go over the alerts that came in at 5, and there were a number of them. Let's see, I think there's 3, 6, there's seven of them actually at 5 o'clock, which is interesting because we didn't have any in between. So none at 2 or 3 or 4. So they all came in at once. So one of them is the Aussie Swiss, and I'm on that pair right now. And I'm on the 4-hour chart, but just to kind of give you an overview of how I look at an alert, we'll get an alert. This is saying it's a 4-hour on the 4-hour chart, and it's a bottom. So I like to be in larger size on the chart. So again, as you can see, we only have 2 indicators on the chart, and the MACD PPO on the bottom of the screen. And that's basically all we need to use in order to take advantage of any of these alerts and the 1, 2, 3 setup. So we're looking for a 1, 2, 3 bottom, and it's in essence an inverted V, whereas a 1, 2, 3 top would be a V shape. So in this case, the alert tells us that it's a 1, 2, 3 bottom, and basically you're looking for that 1, 2, 3 setup and a golden cross. So at this point, we're just getting that golden cross. It's just forming, and we would have to make a determination as to whether or not this was tradable. So that's the whole point of the alert. It gives you an idea of what's setting up on the chart, and then you have to make a decision by looking at that alert as to whether or not it's a viable 1, 2, 3 setup in order to jump in and make a trade. So what I usually do when I get an alert, I will take a look at it right away on that time frame just to see, and if it looks like an okay setup, then I would then take a look at the overall picture of the chart. And by doing that, I would go to the monthly chart first, and I always start with the monthly chart, and that gives me an overview of the chart from a higher time frame and a wider vantage point. Kind of gives me an overall view of what's going on with that chart. So as I can see that it has come down, and we talk in waves. It's come down in waves, and we are now in a wave that is now looking to go further down. And we're at this point here on the chart, and I want to see what's going on, especially at this point here. Now we're on the monthly time frame, so then I will drop down to the weekly time frame and to see again what's going on in this area of the chart, and not discounting, of course, what's going on to the left of the chart. And this is where someone asked about resistance and support. Yes, you want to be cognizant of support and resistance areas because they're key to what's going on currently. So looking at this chart, we can see that we're in a downtrend, and so if we get an alert that tells us that it's a 1, 2, 3 bottom and the overall trend is down, we have to be careful taking that trade because we will be looking to be going counter trend. So I've dropped down to the daily chart, and again we see that the overall trend is down, and it's moved up a little bit here, but again it's starting to turn and go down. So if we're looking for a 1, 2, 3 bottom on the 4-hour chart, we have to be very careful in knowing that the trend is down. So if you take a trade on the 4-hour going up, you're going counter to the trend, and if you see a 1, 2, 3 that looks good, it might not reach targets going back up. So that's the key prerequisite before you take that trade. So looking at this particular setup, I see that we have a 1, 2, 3 top that's in play. We had a death cross. We've come down to a low. We're not at any real major support area. There is some support. We're not really at a major support area per se. The major support would be here. So it looks on this particular chart that we're going to be rolling over more than likely and continuing this trend down. So to take a 1, 2, 3 bottom at this point, again, it might not go very far if it goes anywhere at all. So that would be for that particular alert. I would just pass on this one because I don't see a very nice 1, 2, 3 setup, and so I wouldn't even take the trade at this point. I could drop down to the 1-hour chart just to kind of take a closer look, and I've got all the wave calculator on that. And again, it's been going sideways, so there really isn't a good setup even on the 1-hour chart to make a good trade at this point. So we did have a 1, 2, 3 bottom there, and it's gone up to a certain point, but it doesn't look like it has enough legs to go much further. So again, I would not be taking a trade based on that alert on the 4 hour. So that's a quick synopsis analysis of one of the alerts that will come in. And once you start getting familiar with how that all works, that's basically how it plays out. So I will show you today, I took a trade in New Zealand Japanese yen, and let me find that pair. Okay, so the New Zealand Japanese yen, and this was I'm on the hourly, and I saw a 1, 2, 3 bottom, and this was just before the news, the FOMC meeting news came out, and I saw this 1, 2, 3 bottom that I have marked. So there's my number 1, number 2, and number 3 point, and I entered the trade, and I took profit as soon as it got to this first set of targets, because things were getting very volatile. This bar was moving like crazy, and I decided I'm just going to take the profit and run. And I went in with 5 lots, and for almost $1,400, $1,300 profit. So that was a quick trade. Catching a nice 1, 2, 3, seeing a golden cross. That's what I'm looking for, and entering the trade and just going up to the targets. And as you can see, after the meeting news, things just went south. So again, 1, 2, 3 top is in play on this side, coming down to this level. Like taking this 1, 2, 3 bottom trade here, it was basically, as you can see, almost like a counter trend. And you really need to look at it from a higher time frame in order to see what's going on. But that's basically, you can take a counter trend trade. There's nothing wrong with taking a counter trend trade, but if you do, you have to be careful. It might not reach targets, or if it does, actually most of the times it does not reach targets. And if it does, it might do it quickly and then drop back again. So in this case, it did that just like that. And so what usually occurs with counter trade is that they just go a little bit to this area and then just roll over and continue the trend down, like as you see as it's doing right now. So again, just a quick example of a trade. So any questions?
There's a question here for you, George, from Donald Mills, if you want to address it, wanting to know how risk reward is calculated.
The risk reward that's calculated in the wave calculator is based upon the 3 points that you put in, the points 1, 2, and 3. It's calculated off of point 3 to the middle point of wave 3.
And in this case, my risk reward was not good, but yet I took the trade anyways. And so, it's up to you. Usually you want this to be 2.0 or higher in order to take that trade. You want all this to be green and to really take that trade. But I'm familiar with the system. And another question that was asked was why I took a trade and went in before the golden cross. Again, once you get familiar with the system, you can, once I put in the wave calculator, it gives me these retracement levels. So I can put in a limit order to take the trade. If it comes down to, say, the 62% area, I can put in my limit order for 76.14 as my entry on the limit, because I feel that it might come back down to that level. So in this case, if I had done that, I would not have been in. I would have missed that trade. So you can put it to the 38% retracement level, or you can put it to the 50% retracement level. So it all depends on what you're looking at. So what I usually do is I would drop down to like the 15-minute chart, and I would then put in the calculator and look at the retracement. And at that level where I get a golden cross, I would the trade. So that's why you can enter the trade before the golden cross on the higher time frame. So if I go to the 30 minutes, for example, then there's a golden cross here, which is higher than on the 15-minute, and then you go to the hourly chart, it's higher again. So you can enter from the previous levels, time frames, based on what the retracements are, and that way you can get in earlier, as long as you have confirmation from the 15, the 30, and once you get confirmation on the hourly. So basically, you could add 3 lots by that time. You could add 1 lot on the 15, 1 on the 30, and 1 on the 1 hour, and then once it goes, you've got your profits.
Lennox, Ben DeJong wants to know about your MACD settings of 13, 21, and 8. Wants to know how that differs from the standard settings.
I believe the standard settings are 14, 26, and 9. So it doesn't differ that dramatically, just the 26, 21, and I use 21 because it's a fib number, and I like fib numbers. And I use 8 instead of 9 because I like fib numbers. And I use 13 instead of 14 because I like fib numbers. And that's basically the reason. And the difference between the normal settings or the default settings are minimal. You don't really notice much difference anyways. It's nothing that's going to make a trade dramatically, in any way, shape, or form skewed. So, but we've refined this. We've played with all these settings, and we've tested and back tested, and so we know based on the settings and the wave calculator and so forth. And the 1, 2, 3 setups. We've ran tests, and we know that using the system and looking at all the alerts that we've had over past a few months and so forth, that we have about over 60% win rate. So if you'd taken all the alerts and traded them, put in the proper stop and risk management, you would have been able to come out of there with 60-40, about a 60-40% win ratio, which is pretty good.
It looks like we've answered all of the questions. I don't see any others coming in here.
Okay, so that's just a quick overview of what we do. But we'll of course go in more depth next week on our webinar. We're going to be going a lot more in depth into trading on the lower time frames and so on. So. We know a lot of people are adverse or afraid or whatever that feeling might be to trading on the higher time frames, but so we can show you that you can take a trade on the 15-minute time frame if you like, or a 30-minute, or so we'll go over that.
If there are any last-minute questions, we'll entertain them. Otherwise, we will sign off momentarily. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We don't take that for granted at all. And I'd like to thank George and Lennox for excellent presentations. Every time I hear them speak, I learn some new twist or turn. Marilyn, thank you for your kind words. So on that note, Judy, thank you. On that note, George and Lennox, unless you have anything further to comment, I think we're going to call it a day now.
Thank you all for attending.
Okay, thank you, everyone.